Let's get started. So hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video, I wanted to review the Tombow Dual Brush Pen markers. Let me just give a little bit of background story as to why I bought these. But basically, lately, I've been really obsessed with stationery. I've been watching all those cute little AliExpress stationery hauls and all the pen collection hauls, all that stuff. And all the note taking, honestly, those people who can do those super pretty notes, honestly, they have a talent. So I kind of got obsessed, and recently I've been starting to learn calligraphy. So I decided, why don't I just pick up the dual brush pen markers if, they're supposed to be really good for calligraphy, and I've actually seen a couple artists use them. So I'm like, oh, why don't I just try them and pick them up? I got them off Amazon. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to buy them as well. And so without further ado, I think let's get started on the actual video. Alright, so if we start noticing the packaging, you can notice that it comes in this plastic clear kind of material. And the good thing is that it actually comes in a reusable plastic container, so you don't have to be storing this anywhere else. So you're able to open it up through these two little patches at the top. Open it, close it, and you can easily store it anywhere. It's really compact width-wise, but if we're talking about the height, it's a little bit long. Once you flip the package to the back part, it shows all these things that these markers can do, and it says, 2 tips, a high-quality flexible nylon fiber brush and fine bullet tip. It also says it is resilient nylon brush, retains its point stroke after stroke. The water-based ink blends colors easily. The colorless blender pen softens and blends colors. It is acid-free, non-toxic, and odorless. The tips self-clean after blending. That's actually quite interesting how the tips self-clean after you use them. Because most things, I don't think I've ever heard of that before, so it's really interesting. And then at the bottom, it has the same thing, most probably just in another language. Now, if you look at the bottom left side, you can see it has all the colors as well as the number coded on each marker. So I also want to put that to the test to see if it's pretty accurate. Now, one thing I do want to try out with these Tombow brush pens is see if I can actually draw the image shown at the packaging. Because when you see a packaging with an image, one can think that's what these markers are going to do, right? Now, at first when I got the markers, I was like, yeah, maybe I can actually draw this, maybe I can actually color this, I didn't have any opinion on the markers yet. So I decided, why not just test out and see if I can actually draw with these. Alright guys, so first I started out by just drawing the umbrella, all the features, everything I could possibly do with a pen. And then I started with the coloring. And my first thoughts were that these are just like any other marker. They have pretty streaky lines, they get darker as they overlap. Pages start rippling if you overlap it too many times. I honestly did not know how to use the shader, the blender very well. Also, for the colorless blender, since I had used it on the green and then I used it on the yellow, you can notice that it kind of left a green stain behind. And so my final thoughts on this marker for the coloring aspect of them is that they're nothing like the actual picture. Now that I'm really noticing, the coloring on the actual picture, it looks more like a colored pencil. It looks more like that gradient, shady, kind of gritty kind of coloring, if that makes sense. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but you can really notice that grittiness of a colored pencil, and you can really notice it on there. So I definitely think that the picture is not a representation of what these markers can do if they're talking about the coloring aspect of them. Alright, so the next thing I do want to talk about is swatches. So my first impression when I was actually reviewing this product was that I really liked the performance of them. The tip was really flexible and the colors were really opaque. I love how every single color was just such a vibrant and strong color, like it was an actual stroke of paint. It really isn't that see-through, etc, etc. Another one of my first impressions was that this was super easy to handle. When you have a brush pen with a firmer tip, it's so much more easier to handle and to actually use other than one that's more softer. And the thing about these dual brush is that they're pretty firm. So that if you're a beginner, these are so easy to work with. That was my first thing. I could easily use this. My only concern at the moment was I just hoped that as time went on, that the tips didn't get softer, or basically I just didn't want them to stray and get like really soft and like super flexible. Now, probably like any other marker, this also has a little place in the back where if you're using the brush pen, you can put the cap on the top on the side with the nib, or if you're using the nib, there's a side on the brush pen to also put the cap on. I feel like little details like this just make the product a whole lot better and easier and more svelte to work with. Alright guys, so now I decided to test the colorless blender because that is most definitely the biggest advertised feature of this product. So I wrote the word hi, but with using 2 different colors. So the top half is going to be like this red color, and the bottom half is a green color. Now I tried using the Amazon video that they included as a reference as to how they did it, and I did literally the exact same thing, and just nothing was working. I'm not sure if this works too well. It's like the page is ripping. Okay, so this is not working right now. Not very well at all. Okay, maybe from like a far distance it might look well, but it's just not looking well at all. So let me try to do what they did. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so I think that the problem, it doesn't look the same as it's advertised. It might be the type of paper that I'm using, but that still, I'm pretty sure, shouldn't affect how it's looking. Maybe it just doesn't work well on this piece of paper. I'm giving it hope right now, but as of now, I'm not too happy or satisfied with that. Since I had the idea of maybe the bullet journal paper was just kind of thin, I went in with printer paper, which is definitely not thin compared to the bullet journal. But this time, instead of drawing the word hi, I went in and colored a flower. And at first I tried blending everything with a yellow marker, but that just wasn't working. So then I finally went in with the colorless blender. And then I'm gonna go in with my colorless blender and see if I can blend them together. Okay, so they're getting dark. I don't know if you guys can notice this, but it's getting kind of dark. I don't know if it's maybe from the ones I used from the last time I did it. So I don't think it blends. It's just not good, and I've tried this a couple times. Okay, so I want to talk about pricing for a bit. I actually got these brush pen markers by a third-party seller, basically Amazon. So I didn't get them from the actual seller, which is Tombow. I got them off of Amazon. The thing is that they're literally half the price of what they're actually in reality. Like in reality, I'm pretty sure they're like $30, $35, and I got them off Amazon for $15. So that's a pretty big difference. So when a lot of people are saying that Tombows are so expensive, I was like, what are you talking about? They're only $15. So you only get 9 colors and 1 colorless blender, but that still costs $15, which, considering how people said it was expensive, I actually didn't think it was that expensive compared to what most people said. So, you know what? I'm just gonna link these Tombows down in the description if you want them off Amazon. They were just literally like half the price. Although I will say that if you go down to the listing in the Amazon for that product, then you can see that the actual manufacturer and brand name is Tombow. So Tombow is selling on Amazon. It's not some other sketchy brand that's selling Tombow. It's actually Tombow. They're just selling on Amazon. It's half the price. It's just kind of crazy how that works. So as I originally read, these markers are water-based colors. So they're kind of like watercolors in a marker, and they do look a lot like watercolors. So I can actually see where they're going about the water-based colors, you know, all that. Also, you guys, one thing I also noticed is that when you're putting in the marker to the marker cap, make sure that you're putting it in correctly and make sure that you're not doing it too forcefully, because if you feel that it's not going through, it's because it's not going through. If you notice inside the marker cap, there's this little place where you actually have to put that brush tip into, and also for the brush nib. At first I didn't even know that the brush nib had something like this, but it does. So be super careful, you guys. You guys do not want to like scrape half of your brush tip off just because of some silly mistakes. Another thing I also wanted to test out is if the colors are presented on the box are the same as they are drawn out, or if they're anything close to the cap color. So this is 755, and it's supposed to look like that. To me, honestly, that looks more like a purplish color, and it definitely does not look how it actually looks like on paper. As you can see, this is lighter and more pinkish. That looks more kind of like a purple burgundy color, like a burgundy but more on the purple side. not gonna lie, most colors don't come as they are represented. For example, the cap looks more red than it actually is. Alright guys, so now that I gave my first impression of these markers, I wanted to go on Amazon and actually read some reviews that some other people left. So not only will I be seeing positive reviews, but I also want to see the negative reviews. What people thought of this marker, what came wrong with the marker, you know, things like that that I probably didn't catch on my own. So the first customer review says, not the greatest. These are fine if you're making greeting cards or just want something to doodle with, but they're not useful for much else. One pro, however, is that they are water soluble, so they can be used technically like a watercolor marker. Not a good watercolor marker for any kind of professional artwork, though low light fastness, but fine enough for personal sketchbooks or, as previously mentioned, doodling. Tried to use these for calligraphy as I've seen others do online, but it didn't work as I had hoped. As for coloring, a little difficulty with the brush pen side, and the other side is too scratchy. If you need markers to color with in adult coloring books, for example, stick with Crayola. If you're a professional artist, get Copics. So I actually do agree with the first part about they're good for making greeting cards. The Tombow Dual Brush Pens are just not good for doing any sort of artwork. They're not good for professional artwork, as the person stated. I mean, and it's fine if you want to do your personal artwork. They work exactly like normal Crayola super tip markers, honestly. They work like any other markers. So I feel like if you're coming to Tombow Dual Brush Pens for the coloring side, just buy some $10 50 pack of the Crayola super tips. They're just so much more cheaper and they work exactly the same. The second one says the colors are good, the brush is good. So I wish I had invested in Copics instead of Tombow's. The colors are good, the brush is good, but the ink led to many rippled pages which didn't work with what I was trying to do. I also hated the size of the markers. The very long barrel made it more difficult for me to hold during long sessions. So yeah, I do agree. The colors are good, the brush is good, but yes, the ink led to a lot of rippled pages. So I tried doing this, as you saw in my bullet journal, and the pages were just ripped, honestly. You could probably go to the other side. And I tried doing it on printer paper, and that also didn't work very well. The pages were just getting rippled. As for the calligraphy, if you're doing normal standard calligraphy, they're fine. But if you're trying to do the blending, I don't even know how that works. Alright guys, so as I was really thinking about this, I thought I can't be the only one that doesn't know how to blend stuff, right? How to blend with the Tombow Dual Brush Pens. So I went on YouTube and I searched up how to blend with Tombow Dual Brush Pens, and a bunch of videos will search up, and you can even color with these. Of course, at the moment when I was filming this, I didn't realize this. I didn't really search up anything of how to blend and anything like that, but now that I'm realizing, yes, you can blend with these. Yes, you can color with these. Of course, not like professionally. I'd rather you guys invest in good watercolors if you really want that, but if it's a quick to go kind of thing, then yeah, I'll put some videos on the screen to show you guys, and also link all the videos on how to blend and how to color down in the description below if you guys want to watch it. So yeah, I just want to disclaim that really quickly because at the moment I hadn't really like searched up anything. So yeah. Alright guys, so I want to test this out again to see, hopefully this works now. So I'm going to go in with this color, and I'm going to just write completely. So next color, and like 1/3 of the way to kind of color it in, so, and kind of bring the darker color down. I mean, yeah, it works if you want to do that way. And yes, also, the barrels are really long. If you compare them to zebra monoliners or just a standard Crayola super tip marker, they're quite long. So I'm guessing that maybe they have more product in them. Now, Angela said, okay, but not good for watercoloring or blending with special paper. These are nice, but not quite what I expected. They will not blend when using an aqua pen unless you're using them on blendable paper. This should be noted on the packaging. I'm very disappointed. Yes, this is so true. They should have honestly just mentioned that in the packaging. You can only use it for blendable paper, because when you're like thinking about, oh, I want this to use to blend something, and it doesn't say in the packaging that I have to use blendable paper, then how are you supposed to know? I don't have blendable paper, so I can't test it out for you guys. I also don't have an aqua pen, so I can't do that either. And if you have to buy an aqua pen for the blending, yeah. So you guys, I was a little bit doubtful as to what this person said, so I searched up what paper should I use for Tombow Dual Brush Pens, and it turns out that dual brush pens work with a huge variety of papers, including watercolor paper, both rough and smooth, mixed media paper, vellum, drawing paper, and scrapbook cardstock. They work on more paper that they don't. So if you have a relatively thin paper like, bullet journal paper, then yeah, it probably won't be the same as using better sketchbook kind of paper. Just wanted to let that out for you guys. Now let's get on to the more positive reviews. This customer said, I picked up watercolor a few months ago and wanted the ease of no cleanup, no mess that I associated with painting. These got me painting every day and I've really improved as a result. Definitely amazing for a beginner. You need to add drops of water for the colors to blend like a traditional watercolor paint. That wasn't clear on the packaging and I didn't figure that out for a few months, lol. Oh, so that, when I read that, I was actually quite interested. I was like, oh, so that's interesting. You can use water to blend and make these markers look like watercolor. But one thing I did notice, if you really zoom into the picture of the pig they drew, you can notice that it does leave a little bit of streaks. You can notice on the forehead there's a couple of streaks. But other than that, it looks pretty good. This one says, excellent blendable color brush marker. Recommend for artists with a delicate touch, not recommended for children. Yeah, definitely don't recommend for children. Beginners might appreciate the brush tip or blendability of the marker. The brush tip is very delicate. Yeah, I don't know how to use the blendable thing yet, so I'll have to find that out on my own at this point. You can use the color marker on a plastic surface like it's a palette, then blend ink and pick it up from the palette with clear blending markers or other marker. It makes for some very nice gradient lines in addition to basic color blends. So when I read this, I was actually also intrigued. Just like the last person, this person recommended doing something else that they had found out as they were using this. So I actually love it when people in the reviews just give you a little bit more background and just help out a fellow customer that wants to buy these too. And I actually tried this as well, so let's see how it went. And so I started out by writing 2 splotches of the color on the plastic container that this product came in, and I just added a little bit of water to both the red and the yellow. And so I started actually coloring, and my first opinion was that these was pretty good watercolors. So the colors are really opaque actually. These are really nice watercolory colors, if that makes sense. They just acted like any other sort of watercolor, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Hey, I saw your bag. I hope you still haven't gone yet, right? This next person said great, budget-friendly, vibrant colors. Very vibrant, can easily be watered down on a separate palette to use as a paint or translucent tone. I watered down some purple to lighten it up for the braids. When I realized I could do this and it wouldn't blend strangely, I was able to reactivate the color on the rest of the paper to make it a huge I'd prefer. Looks great. I use them on Bristol paper and would definitely recommend. I'm an artist, so I don't commonly use markers, so these are great for beginners like myself in that department. So this person said that they're great for beginners in the marker department. Okay, but I'm being picky here. If you really zoom into the picture that they also drew, you can see the streaky lines as well as the darker lines when markers overlap each other. So those are all the reviews I read, and it's quite interesting seeing different people's opinions on this product, what worked for them, what they thought of it. It's just great hearing other people's opinions, because now not only have you heard just mine, but what other people think of this product as well. Alright, so let's get on to the actual final thing. So do I like them? Yes, I love them for calligraphy. When it comes to the coloring aspect of them, I still haven't learned how to use the blending yet because the instructions on that are not very clear at all. Are they worth the hype? Of course, yes. In one aspect though, in the calligraphy. But honestly though, I don't think I've seen any videos when someone refers to this product as something great for coloring either. So are they worth the hype of calligraphy? Yes, like 100% yes. Do they work as they are advertised? So if you watch the video on the Amazon page, you can notice that they're not advertised as something of coloring. They're advertised as something more of a calligraphy pen. So do they work as they're advertised? Yes. And then the question that I've been saying at least 1,000 times during this video, as a beginner, are they easier to start off with? 100% yes. Alright guys, so that was it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I had filming and reviewing it as well. I love giving my opinions on a lot of products. So you guys have any more products that you would like me to review, just comment down below and I'll see if I can review that product. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, also comment down below all the things I've asked you to comment already. And well, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!